If you guys don't know what's going on with New York City's Airbnb situation, well, let me give you guys some details. It's pretty much the most interesting thing you'll ever see. So what happened with Airbnb was they're becoming pretty big, very popular. And yes, you probably have heard news about how Airbnb units in many of America's biggest cities are dropping because there's so much competition. Airbnb foreclosures is a big thing, but in New York City, Airbnbs are still extremely profitable, and people buy New York City condos and townhouses just to rent them out. And New York City at one point had some of the most fantastic stays. I mean, you could rent penthouses, you could rent whole entire mansions, condos with views of Central Park. I mean, it was a really great time for New York City Airbnb, and people invested, and a lot of tenants liked it. But of course, New York City, they have a massive hotel industry. And a lot of people say there's some conspiracy and stuff behind it when they did a massive Airbnb ban. And what everyone said was very unfair because the Airbnb ban basically knocked off 80% of all of the Airbnb listings in New York City. And if you go to New York City and just look at the Airbnbs, they all look the same. Tiny little rooms, and that's about it, with one or two beds. Like in New York City, you can't find a short-term rental on Airbnb that has more than 3 beds. Okay, all of them have 1 or 2 beds like you see in the pictures. And the reason why is the law states you're not allowed to have more than 2 tenants in your home, and the host has to live in the home that they're renting out. And to try to get one of these licenses is very hard. And many people own like multifamily buildings. They own like a 3 multifamily building, so they rent out the bottom 2 floors, or they own like 2 or 3 condos in New York City. They live in a condo, but they're renting the other 2 out. This type of ban came out of nowhere. And after just a few months of it being in law, a lot of foreclosures are happening. If you check out the people who are lobbying against this law, you got people in this group called the Restore Homeowner Autonomy. And they claim that a membership of 450 single and 2-family homeowners, they are not pleased at all, and a quarter of their members have incomes of less than $75,000 a year, and says that they're middle class, they're gritty New Yorkers. And if you look around, a lot of times it is kind of true. You know, you see a lot of these landlords, they buy like a townhouse in New York City, and they rent it out, usually the bottom floor or the top floor. And these townhouses are worth a lot. Like they're $1 or $2 million, but also remember that a lot of these townhouses are passed down through generations, so usually families, some of them, they do retire, and this is really like their main income. This whole Airbnb ban is causing a new area to really flourish, which is the Airbnb black market, or New York City's new black market for short-term rentals. And essentially on Facebook, you know, different forums, exclusive ones, Telegrams, Discord servers even, or landlords will actually advertise their unit out as a short-term rental because there's still a big market for it. Why would you go for a boring little room in New York City? And even if you're like super rich, a lot of the rich guys don't want to just room like a regular hotel. I mean, some of the hotels like the Four Seasons in New York City, they're like super expensive. We're talking about like $1,000 to $1,500 a night, and the room isn't even that impressive. And have a very cool and exclusive stay. And I love Airbnbs, guys. When I go to a city, I typically get an Airbnb. I really do like those personalized homes. It's very charming. Like if I'm going to Chicago, I'm going to get an Airbnb because it just looks really cool. And the prices are sometimes pretty decent as well. And honestly, I really do think renting and being in a hotel all the time gets pretty boring. Airbnbs do spice it up. So New York City's week-old restriction on Airbnb and other platforms are spawning a new black rocket for short-term rentals. Hosts are going for informal methods to get guests and work out payments. And of course, if anyone snitches and the host gets caught, it's usually a $10,000 fine, and that's extremely expensive. Now, some New Yorkers who have come to rely on Airbnb for income says they're going back to basics. They're returning to Craigslist, checking out Facebook Marketplace, and joining WhatsApp groups. There's already whole entire websites and group chats that are dedicated for this. And like I said, people are saying New York City individuals are always finding a workaround. You could place a ban, but it just causes more unregulated short-term rentals. Like New York City short-term rentals are not going away because there's such a big demand for it. There really is. I know Airbnb in many cities are going down, but in New York, Airbnbs are still extremely strong. It's still one of those cities around the world that still has a lot of visitors. We are in post-pandemic. Some of the cities are affected. A lot of cities are no longer getting as many visitors as before, like Chicago, Portland, and San Francisco. But New York City, still getting a lot of people. And the new rule just basically banned the Airbnb and Verbos. And guess what? A lot of these guys are sick and tired of it. There's going to be a black market. The black market's already getting pretty big. And yeah, New York City, we could be seeing something very different now. New York City hosts on the brink of foreclosure following citywide clampdown on Airbnbs. And there's already several members and a lot of these small homeowners association groups and stuff like that says that they actually cannot afford their expenses without the rental income. And yes, I get it. You maybe be like, okay, what about the long-term rentals? Aren't long-term rentals pretty profitable as well? Absolutely. I mean, if you own a small condo or if you own a multifamily building, long-term rentals are still get you mad racks. New York City rents are extremely high, but the short-term rentals make you even more. And a lot of these guys, they bought a lot of these units at very high prices, very high interest rates, and expenses in New York City is getting higher every single day. Some of them need the extra cash to survive. So for them, short-term rentals is the only way for them to break even and make some money. Whereas long-term rentals actually make them lose money and cause them to actually sell their house and just go away. And that's what we're seeing here, right? New York, we're seeing a lot of these condos, a lot of these townhouses. They're actually going to the foreclosure route. In fact, if you look at New York City's foreclosure section, it actually ticked up slightly higher during the period when they started banning Airbnbs, when they started implementing these, Airbnb laws, stuff like that. So let's see what's going on here. I think it's pretty interesting to see this New York City situation. And I gotta admit, starting a whole entire black market on short-term rentals is one of the craziest things I've ever heard. And I'm not even that surprised by what New Yorkers are doing. New Yorkers are honestly pretty crafty. I was born in this place. I've lived here for a few years, and people will be hustling all day to get a dollar. So placing a ban like this isn't going to work out at all. People are just going to find workarounds, and plus, there's massive demand for a product and for a service. There'll always be several hundreds of people, even thousands of people willing to service that product or service. So we're seeing this. We're seeing cool penthouses now already being listed, and Airbnb is losing out a bunch of money. The city is losing out a bunch of money. But hey, man, let's see what happens. We could be seeing different stuff. We're already seeing some people, already ratting on some of the landlords, and landlords are already getting fined $10,000. It's a pretty big Airbnb mess in New York City. And before guys leave, definitely check out the private Discord server, guys. It's a Patreon link below. We have a 7-day free trial. It's super cheap, and we trade live every day. And a lot of our trades make money. It's super simple to follow. Green means buy the option, sell. Red means sell the option. We even have video tutorials. So definitely check it out. We got a lot of people on here. We're having a great time. Our traders are super experienced, and we are making a bunch of money. Even I personally use the server. It is fantastic. See you guys later.